So we are live. Welcome to the Greatness Engineering Hour show, a show where I bring you exceptional people, champion, people who have stories of triumph, people who are actually inspiring you. And today I have an inspiring lady for you, a lady full of energy, a lady who actually gonna put this platform on fire. So I really, look forward to have a conversation with her. We're gonna have a conversation on, a theme that is actually quite dear to me, which is the gender parity and woman empowerment. So we will have a conversation on that. And I suppose you want to know who is my guest. My guest today is Sabeeta Bidasie-Singh. She's based in Houston, Texas. And Sabeeta is really an international, she's a global citizen, and she's as international as you can get. She was born in the Caribbean, in Trinidad and Tobago, and she has worked and lived in 5 continents over the last 20 years. And I managed to catch up with her somewhere, here in Australia. So she is just, a global citizen. And she is on a mission to liberate as many women as possible who are caught up in situations that limit their choices. And she's been doing a lot of work to help, those women, because she herself has an incredible story. She started immediately after graduation in the corporate world and started to really go up and travel around the world. But after becoming a mom, and I know that a lot of us, have to go through that. After becoming a mom, she had to step away from corporate and adjust. So she went into higher education, and she has served in both in the front line and back end of the education sector. She's been doing quite a lot of work while going around the world, and I think she's gonna help us to understand a little bit why she's been traveling all the time, and help us to understand her journey and what are the key challenges that she had to go through. So she has made some amazing, she has worked on some amazing program, helping rural, women in Asia, getting involved with women in STEM, and also helping refugees, Burmese refugees, while living in Asia. So I'm not going to say much more. I'm gonna let her introduce herself a little bit more in detail, and we'll get to understand her journey and the key challenges and how she managed to get where she is today. So don't go anywhere. Get your pen and paper, because there's going to be a lot of inspiration today, and make sure you write everything down, and hopefully share and comment, participate, because we really want a lot of energy today, because like I said, she has a lot of energy. So let me just come and back with Sabeeta, and let's start this conversation with her.
Right? On memories. But as I got older, I started to be more aware of some of the abusive sides of
Oh, here she is. Hello, hello, hello. Hi,
Hello,
Sabeeta.
Miriam. How
How
are
are
you?
you?
I am great.
I'm
How are you?
How are you this morning? I'm actually excited because I'm really looking forward to our conversation today. And like I said, you are an international figure, you are a global citizen, and we happened to meet, a long time ago. And there's
I
a story behind
know.
all of this, so it's quite exciting to have you on the Greatness Engineering Hour show, Engineering Greatness, and talking about the amazing things that you're doing. So before we go far into our conversation, just wanted you to introduce yourself and let us know who is Sabeeta and what are the key things, the key highlights in your journey so far.
Well, thank you, Marielle, for having me on board. And I've been following your show. It's fantastic. So I'm going to start with a bit of who I am, where I'm from. You talked about Trinidad, and that was music to my ear. I am so proud of my roots. So I'm representing Trinidad in the house today. Um,
Welcome, welcome.
So for those who don't know, Trinidad is a land of calypso and steel pan and beaches and just, it's home for me. And home is where the heart is. Maria talked about my journey. So I actually started this international life about 20 years ago. It's been a fantastic ride. Seen some amazing destinations. I've had the pleasure of meeting Mariel. I think it was 2008 when I lived in Australia. Is that correct?
That's correct. It's 13 years ago. Yeah.
It's been 13 years. My God, the time flies. And, we met through the kids. That was the one commonality. The kids were an after school sport event, and that's how we connected. And we've remained connected for the last 13 years. And I don't miss a beat with what she's been doing, making great inroads, in terms of women empowerment. What she's doing is really important to me as well. I know Maria talked a little bit about me and she made me seem larger than life, but I'm just about a 5 foot girl. So just to bring it into perspective, I'm no bigger than that. So I've had a journey that had to be transformed along the way. And I chose transformation rather than becoming obsolete. And I think that's really important for women, Mariel. When we have families, when we start our families and they start to take off, what are some of the things that we need to do that is meaningful to us and to keep us relevant? And that for me is the forefront of everything I do. What are your thoughts on that, Mariel?
It's actually quite an important step that we go through, especially as wives, as mothers. There's always a certain point where we have to make those difficult choices, and sometimes we make the choices of ignoring what we want and
Yes.
prioritizing our children, prioritizing our husbands, and not always being happy because we basically refrain from being who we are and from pursuing what we want. So it's sometimes very difficult, but we need to get free of it. And that's really where I really want to hear how you've done it, because obviously, and you went through that, and then you managed to get the right process, the right strategy to understand that it's also about me, not just about my family and my husband and the kids. So
Yes.
how did you manage that, and what was the shift? Because we stay very long into these states where it's about people first, family, and then us at the last, at the end of the queue. So how did you shift from that?
So I think for me, my sense of identity was really important. It is so easy to lose yourself in the journey when you start putting yourself in the back end. When I left Trinidad, I had a senior leadership role. It was fantastic. I was enjoying it. but I was gung-ho about new adventures. So for me, I embraced the change. I've never been scared of change. So that's one of the things I can say has been very pivotal to my success. I've never taken on change in fear, but rather in an optimistic manner. I have managed to get 2 MBAs and a doctorate throughout my journey. So I think I've a significant level of success. My doctorate actually focuses on the area that's important to me, agility and transformation during times of disruption. I have seen my life disrupted with every move, with every international transfer. Everything that was constant was shaken up, and I had to start again. Starting over can be a challenge to a lot of people. I have seen a lot of women fail, given up, because it's a lot of dynamics. I think strength and the ability to power through. You asked me what is the key to my success. I think focus, knowing what you want out of the journey, setting a path for yourself, and maintaining your identity. Because let's face it, when the kids move on, you're pretty much stuck with yourself. What do you do then? By then, you become maybe unemployable, or you're just lost and you're on this self-seeking journey. So I'm saying it is possible, Muriel, to manage both dynamics. You just have to understand that you may not be doing everything you wanted to do, but it's okay to adjust down. Okay, adjust down and look at opportunities. Look at your core strengths. So I moved from I was in a senior leadership role um, in sales and marketing, and it was fun because my personality. I am a marketer. I'm a born marketer. I tell people I can sell ice to an Eskimo. But when the kids were younger, I had no support. You know what it's like out in Australia, no support, and I actually had 3 management roles that I had to turn down because it was conflicting with the children's schedule. Education seemed to work well for me with their pickups and drop-offs. So I literally managed my new dynamics. I reframed what I wanted and I capitalized on what was there for me. During that journey, I was able to get a second MBA. So it was a journey that was also one of professional development and enhancing myself as I went along. So despite having to make professional adjustments, I was developing myself academically as well and setting myself up for the next stage. So my message to women when I talk to them is look around you, look at your environment. How can you adjust and grow despite your constraints? Maria, you're an engineer. You've been doing it for over 20 years. But you found something that you're passionate about, which is so far away from engineering. So I think you can relate to the message I'm sending to a lot of wives who are challenged in their journey, who've had to, and it's not just expatriate wives, it's just women. We need to stop putting ourselves in the back burner. We need to understand our strength and our power and push forward and ensure that we are always creating opportunities for ourselves, Muriel.
And that's a key one, and because it not only happen at home, but for a lot of us, when we go through this phase, we bring it to the office, and it becomes a barrier for us to go up and to progress, because we always wait for somebody to give us permission, because we think that we have to stay at the back, at the back of the queue, and it becomes very detrimental to everything, at home. It's not critical when we still have young kids, but we just realize through time, like you said, that when the kids are grown up, then we feel useless in a way, because we can't get through, because we've basically given everything to the family. And it's important for women to understand that, yes, you can have a family, you can have children, you can have a husband, but it doesn't mean that you have to forget what you're all about. Understand who you are, and try to, like you said, it's a dynamic, and try to fit, your agenda into the change that's going on, and into the family that you have, and partner, because you have a partner and it's a partnership that you actually have. So make sure you use your partner as well to help you to get what you want, and so that it's a win-win situation more than an imbalanced relationship. So we're going to have a short break, and we'll come back to continue this very important conversation, because I think for women, it's we actually touching on key thing here, and it's important that we get the chance to go deep into this conversation. So we are back. We are back with Sabeeta. Sabeeta is, and we are talking about, women empowerment and gender parity. And Sabeeta is, like I said, she's a very international and a citizen of the world. She's basically visiting the whole planet, and so we want to learn from her how she managed all of this professionally and personally. So Sabeeta, we've talked about the limitation that, women put on themselves, and how difficult it is, for them to go forward and to go through changes. So what do you think are the key blockers, and how do you think they can address it?
I think one of the key obstacles is limiting your potential. When uncertainty sets in, you start to doubt what you're capable of. And over time, that doubt erodes your confidence. So that's a key restriction for a lot of women. So when I do counseling and coaching with women on this journey, I pretty much go back into who I ask them, imagine yourself as a 13-year-old child. What were your dreams? What did that child want? And what is stopping you from achieving all of this? Surely, parenthood should not stand in the way of your dreams. So I believe self-limitation is a key restriction. Adjusting to new circumstances or new environment can also be a limiting factor for a number of women. I think the way around this, Mariel, is to get engaged in your new environment, get engaged in the communities, build networks. I am writing 2 books right now, and this one is really important because I'm focusing on the role of collaboration. I call it the new currency. It's no longer about the American dollar. Okay, we are gaining power and momentum through collaboration. We were on that show last night, the conference, and we can feel the power of collaboration and the reach. So collaboration is a tool that can actually become your key strength in a new market. Because even though you're new to an environment, you're not disadvantaged. Don't ever discount the power of storytelling. Throughout my entire journey, people have always been fascinated by the story of this Caribbean girl. And that's how you start to build in your networks and grow your networks. You find a point of common ground. What are the things that are common? Okay, what can I bring? And this is where you look at your new environment and say, okay, even though being in a new environment is challenging, what can I bring? So, for example, in a couple locations, now I have been really fortunate because in all the locations we were posted, I had the ability to work. But there are some women or some expatriate wives who could not work because of visa limitations and other circumstances. And my message to them is, if you cannot be gainfully employed, you can pick up charity events, you can do volunteer things, you're still building skills. You're doing other things that are keeping you engaged and adding value, and also building your self-worth. So there are ways around those challenges. I never see a challenge as an obstacle. I see a challenge as finding a winning opportunity, the ability to push past it. And that's where you find your greatest strength, Mariel, when you could push past those challenges.
And that's and you bring a very important point, which is the mindset. It's not really what you go through. It's what, how you look at it and how you approach it, because there's always an opportunity behind. And that's what I tell people, is that, when you are challenged and you are in a situation where you don't know what to do, to really look at your mindset and try to find an opportunity in what you go through. And there's always one. And if you find one, just focus on that. Don't focus on the problems, focus on the solution and on the opportunity, because that's what's going to bring you, to the next level. Otherwise, you get stuck in a certain way. So that's a very good point that, I support going through it. So, I mean, obviously, the numbers, especially, I mean, the challenges are there. I mean, you have all your mindset set up. So what's next, in a way? Because, you managed to put yourself in a great space. So what are the key things that you think have been able to propel you to the next level? Obviously, you had all this experience going through different, in different countries, and learning from different people, different cultures. But what do you think has been really the key thing that's propelled you to the level where you are?
Versatility, my ability to be versatile. I think I have been able to adjust around everything that has come at me. And now more than ever, every one of us needs to be versatile. COVID has pushed us, and it's pushing us to our limits. And when you're in that space of versatility, Mariel, you become more innovative. And that's where I found my greatest sense of creativity, when I had to work around situations, where I had to bring in everything I learned in doctorate about change dynamics. What are the drivers of change? How do you not let change intimidate you? How do you grow past change? So I believe now more than ever, we as a world need to address how to not let our current constraints affect us. How do we push past it? How do we seek opportunities? Because I am sure I have found a number of opportunities despite the downturn. I am sure if we look deep and hard, we can find it. And the key to a number of these opportunities is found in your networks, it's found in your collaborations, it's found in the strength of people working together. We've seen where, and COVID has given us a wake up call. It has said, okay, go back home to your families. The corporate world was dominating your life. You were losing yourself. And this is the way I see it. Okay. So here's a chance to do some self-reflection. Here's a time to invest in your family. Here's a time to rebuild, regrow, because, even the environment is healing. You'd be surprised how beautiful the water is, and there's so much green around you. So I think it's a period of self-healing and growth, not just for the environment, for us. So at this time, I implore everyone to dig deep. Find out what are the strengths you've got, and how can you leverage on those strengths to grow into other opportunities. So, for example, while I play a lot in the field of diversity, empowerment, strategy, realignment, transformation, instructional design, entrepreneurship, leadership, and training, those are my key areas. However, I am a partner in health blockchain security services, which is very different from what I've been doing. Extremely different. So I took on this challenge, and being a partner, you've got a vested interest in the organization, and you now need to really put everything you've got into it. And here I am transforming again. Here I am working in this downturn because of COVID, but looking for other opportunities to grow in it. We all know technology and artificial intelligence is the future. We know blockchain is here to stay. Then this opportunity with health blockchain security services came up, and I thought, this is something that could really align with all the other things I'm doing. So I am growing, but I'm growing in a very different direction. But I'm excited about the growth. I'm not intimidated by the growth. So this was one example of finding opportunities in limitations.
Fantastic. So let's go to the chat box, and we have quite a few comments here. So there's Janelle. Hey Janelle, thanks for tuning in. We have Chikas from Nigeria. Hello Chikas, great to have you again. And we have Mr. Unstoppable Terrence. Hey ladies, and he's been very active here. Power of collaboration, which is the new currency. Yes,
it is.
We need collaboration, turn challenges into winning opportunities. That's key. And some others. So focus more on what you are able to do and less on what's stopping you. So
Absolutely.
not intimidated by anything. And repeating what you just said, the versatility that you brought into your life, and and help you to grow past the different changes that you had to go through. And then again, another one on versatility, the ability to adapt and adjust. And that's the key. But I had just like you, been very international, went work and lived in different countries. And I'm actually quite impressed that you've done more than me, because I was 30, was already so good. And then when I hear that you've been in 50, it's just so amazing. So what I really wanted to ask you, and because that's my own experience, is that you're so used to changing that in a way it becomes difficult for you to be static. But sometimes you actually need to be static, especially in this time with the COVID. You can't go anywhere, and you have to find yourself in this. And for people like us who've been, all over the place, all the time, changing every 2-3 years, countries, jobs, and how do you settle yourself in your new environment to be a bit more static in a way?
So that's a really good question, Muriel. I think we could take static in two ways. I have seen where static has led to a lot of mental health issues with people. I chose not to be one of them. Mind you, I have projects that I started working on for clients in Malaysia, because I consult for clients in Malaysia, and those projects had to be placed on hold because Malaysia was on lockdown, and they've actually just gone back into lockdown. What happens to those projects? Okay, I'm going to revisit it in 2021. Hopefully, we're looking at Q1 2021 when I could probably get across there and start working on those projects. So yes, I am static, but I'm also moving static in terms of that didn't stop me. I looked at other opportunities. I am doing quite a lot in the field of diversity. The Black Lives Matter campaign happened here very recently in America, and it was very disturbing. And I figured, look, I can bring something to this. I have lived through diversity. I have lived through so many cultures, and I've had so many experiences. What are the things that I know that I could bring to the table to help others see that you can find strength in diversity? I call diversity disruptive innovation. I've never seen me being a person of color to be something that set me back. It's never held me back. One of the things I tell people is, I was born in a country that population is 1 million people, 1 million people. But I've lived and I've thrived in some of the largest continents of the world. So never, I mean, I've never let my diversity hold me back, but I use it as a point to push. Um, so I have worked, I'm doing a lot of work in the US in the space of diversity, empowerment. I'm with a couple organizations and foundations here in the US, and we're really pushing this space because there are messages that need to be heard. There are people that need help. And I would not see myself as a global citizen if I can't help others with the gifts I've been given. So that is really important for me, that sense of giving back to community. I spend a lot of time, throughout all my journeys when I did work with Burmese refugee children in Asia, or working with rural girls promoting STEM. Giving back is something that's meaningful to me, and I love doing it. Um, so apart from being moving static, I do a lot of work here with cancer patients. With the Ballot House, I've managed to interview a couple of them, and we're doing their legacy stories. And I've written their autobiographies for them and done a video. My son Keegan helped me as well, putting those stories together. And we were able to let them chart their journey about, and that experience with those patients was very moving for me, because it made me stop and think, we're always rushing, Mariel. We're always rushing to the finish line. That sometimes the things that are really important to us gets left behind. And when you listen to these cancer survivors' story about how their focus has shifted now and what their new priorities are, that message helped me through the pandemic. It helped me understand that, yes, I've been rushing, and maybe it's time to slow down. Maybe it's time to look around. Maybe it's time to do other things, do more community work. I have also become a partner, like I say, in a blockchain company. So for me, I am still moving despite being grounded. I've found a way to keep moving. So I'm not totally static. I'm just not mobile, internationally mobile, but I'm not totally static.
And that's the key. You can get, and now we have the opportunity. We can actually be in one place and still be global. And I think that's really what I wanted to understand. That you might be static somewhere. It doesn't prevent you to become global. And I'm talking to the audience here, because sometimes people will say, oh no, I'm not in the right country, or I'm not in the right environment, or whatever. And it doesn't mean that you have to get stuck where you are. There are opportunities to still reach out out of your environment and out of your comfort zone. And you have to do it, because that's really the expansion for a lot of people. So I mean, will you say that your the diversity that you went through, and understanding diversity have been a competitive advantage for you professionally?
Absolutely. I think diversity has been one of my edges, what I bring to the table. Maria, when I sit in a meeting, I am bringing experience from 5 continents. I am bringing 25 years of international experience from different markets. These are things you see in an international marketing textbook that one person is sitting in the room delivering. That's a core competency. That's value. That's edge. And that's why companies now need to promote diversity more and more, because it is disruptive innovation. Diversity can make the winning advantage. Diversity in products brings so many new dimensions to it. Diversity in thought and operations brings new perspectives and delivery. Now I think, a lot of people are focused on the customer experience. With the downturn because of COVID, customer experience is one of those areas that are really being looked at, because we are trying to do everything remotely. A lot of the customer services have been mechanized, but it's been mechanized without the user in mind. It's been mechanized using just technology. What about the other end, the person connecting to the technology. So I think now more than ever, people are relooking their customer service experience. They're looking at how they're operating in silos and bringing it all together. And again, it's collaboration. When you're moving away from silos and coming together, it's all about collaboration. Diversity in its sense means coming together. It's about collaboration. So when I talk about my book, collaboration is the new currency, I believe, that's the edge. That's a new value that we can bring to the market. That's the new dollar, the future, our ability to collaborate.
And one question that I have, how do you think, companies or, can actually be successful using diversity? Because I think sometimes when people look at diversity, it's more a racial type of, thing that they look at. So how do you see it, evolving in a way? And what is the winning formula to get it right, when it comes down to diversity? What do you think?
Well, I think it has to be a part of your strategic plan. Your whole company vision has to be very inclusive. We are living in a flat world, Maria. We're living in a borderless world. We have seen that despite COVID-19 trying to shut us down, trying to take us away from connecting with each other physically, technology has broken those barriers. Technology has made us more connectable than ever. So COVID has not separated the world the way it was designed to. As a matter of fact, I think we're more connected. And to promote a diversity and inclusion policy, it has to start with a company culture. Your culture has to speak of diversity. Your faces in your organization has to be colorful. Everything you do has to add meaning to your desire to show that you are inclusive. And if it starts at the top level, it will filter down, but it definitely has to be a part of your strategic vision.
And there's always, this question of quota, and sometimes, when we talk about diversity, it can be quota on women, quota on people of color, quota on anything. And do you think those are, the criteria that we should use to be able to push the diversity as a strategic tool? Or, you think that that's a bit superficial? I personally think it's superficial, but, what's your point of view on that?
So you've lived in Asia, you've worked in Asia, and so have I. And we know that's a real thing, that quota system, in terms of how much percentage of local content for local staff you need to have versus international staff. We've seen that. So it is a real thing. I believe it's superficial because it limits you. It limits your true potential to become a truly global company. If you want your product to be in every country in the world, your face of your staff has to represent that. So you can't put a limit to it. You can't put a ratio to say, look, I'm going to have 10% of this makes 15%. There is no formula that's been tried and tested to work. I've never seen a formula that says this is the solution to your diversity program. I believe it's something that you try and you test. I believe that it should represent the markets that your products are in, because you want your customers in each of these markets to feel included in the design of your product. So by having someone that's from their country, I believe, it builds a relationship and a sense of connectivity, because they believe that this person understands their needs. It goes back to the fundamentals of marketing. They understand their needs and it's driven into the product. So having a diversity mix is good. I don't know that there is a formula or percentage that works. And companies that do that, I would say, no, it's superficial. It's never going to be truly diverse if you lock it in and limit it. But I have seen it, and I have seen it in operation. I don't support it.
And it's quite widely spread. I mean, like you said, in Asia, it's happening here. It's happening as well, especially as far as the gender parity is concerned. There are quotas, and that are forced to certain companies. So it's been a challenge, and in a way controversial as well, because especially for women, pushing those quota sometimes when you get a position, they think that you got it because of the quota and not because of your value. And that can be detrimental to the whole idea for, the whole movement of women empowerment in a way. So let's have
So I was just going to add one
Just-
point to what you're saying. If women are being promoted because they've got numbers to make, a lot of times I believe that these promotions set people up to fail because they may not be the right fit. They may not be the proper progression channel. The training may not be on board. So when a female is promoted again and she's not the right fit and she fails, it's not a good success story for us. And all that we're pushing and promoting for diversity, it sets us back, because here we are saying we believe we can add value to the table. We know we can bring something different. But yet when we are put into these positions just to fill a number, right, on the checks and balances form for diversity and balance on at the management level, senior leadership level, and it's a wrong fit, it's not the right thing to do.
And I agree, because it actually go against what we're trying to accomplish, because we really want to be viewed as competent and people, instead of
Yes.
just people that you push to get to a
To
position.
fill spots. We don't want to be just put there to fill spots. We want to be scalable. We want growth, but we want to earn it. We want to show that we deserve it and work for it.
That's important. So we have Anika. Anika is also from Trinidad and Tobago. She's feeling proud.
Hey, Trinity in the house.
She probably has a T-shirt as well. So great perspective, Sabeeta. And so really, really appreciate what, all the insight that you are giving. So for all other people just joining us, my guest today is Sabeeta Bidasie-Singh. She's based in Houston, but she's a global citizen, and we're learning a lot from her today. So we're going to have a short break, and we'll be back with Sabeeta to continue our conversation.
Floating away, I feel left the ground when you came around. It's hard to explain the way you let me see so clearly. I've been wasting my time waiting on love, missing the signs. I've been thinking I could not find, hoping on something to change my mind. Yeah. You come amaze me, you come amaze me, baby. You come amaze me, you come amaze me, baby. And I know you've been broken, I've been broken too. But even in this crowd, it feels like just us two. I don't ever wanna leave this moment.
So that was just a small cuckoo, like we said in French, to one of my friend and my hairdresser, which is a fantastic lady, and we've been doing masterclass together. So really a lot of growth on her side, and that's what we're talking about here, making sure that women grow in whatever they're doing and really expand their territory, if I can express myself this way. So, Sabeeta, just to ask you, what do you, because you've been doing, some research and some studies on gender parity, and just wanted to know, what are the key things that comes out of your research, and how do you think, people can address them? And
So, I like to go back to the days of women's suffrage and all those things that women fought for us. And how many years later, I don't think we're much more advanced than we were back then. So I think the challenges are pretty much society giving us an opportunity. I think it comes as well with us. And we started our conversation today talking about our own limitations. I believe that if we were to break those barriers, remove those self-imposed limitations, understand our true potential, and keep adding value to the marketplace, keep adding value to whatever we do, and always about making a positive impact. No matter how small our role is, we will continue to grow. And the key is to keep rolling, keep growing. If we are to do that, I believe we can make a bigger impact wherever we go, and we will keep the momentum. We don't want to stop. We want to keep rolling. So it's important to remove self-imposed limitations. I think training and opportunity. I just saw your video that you did. And training and opportunity. Training opportunities are really important for women as well. To cross train, to look at other areas for growth, to move outside of their comfort zone. So a lot of community programs is important. Here in Houston, there are a lot of community programs, and people do attend them. It's very popular. I know in Australia, vocational training was a big thing when I was there as well, giving people other opportunities that are non-academic and pretty flexible and works with their skill sets. So training and development opportunities, self-imposed limitations, companies being more proactive in creating opportunities for women. I think, I have seen where women have been overlooked because they just got married and it is assumed that they're going to start their families, and this may be a setback for companies in terms of the flow. So I think the way companies perceive women as well is important. And we have a lot of women rising to leaders now. And I think these are the ones who have to be the flag bearers for other women. These are the ones who have to change the policy to make it more inclusive. Because here you've been given an opportunity to make change. The way you impact change now could set the trend. So those are some of the things that are really important and need to be attended to.
Some really good, key point that you brought, and one of them is, making sure that women who actually have, the opportunity to be in leadership, make the most of it to change, what is happening and change the legislation, change, push for, creating an environment that is actually good for, women empowerment. And it starts with us, and that's really what we need to understand, is that it starts with us. So we have to get those role models. We have to get those women leaders to help the other woman at the bottom to go.
Absolutely.
And it has to be done by looking at the different aspect of the corporate world, which is actually made for men in general, and start to change things and prepare a platform for other women. So that's really key. So I mean, we've been talking, and obviously time is going really fast.
Wow.
Yes, time is going really fast, so you can imagine it's almost we're almost there. So what I really want to know is what has been your most challenging experience so far, because I know moving around is always yes, you open to the change, but there are moments that are really difficult, and I really want to know what was that moment, and how did you come back and get to the right direction again.
So for me, I think my most difficult challenge in all my moves has been employability. But I've made it an objective of mine that whenever I move, I must be employed within the first 3 to 6 months. So I was very aggressive with that. So I settled down really quickly in a lot of my moves. I think once you've done it once or twice, you pretty much have gotten the hang of what you need to do. But I think for me, it was getting back in the workplace, getting back out there, putting myself out there, not having gaps in my resume. I talk about gaps in my resume in one of my talks that I did, a seminar I did. And in talking to recruiters, they actually don't like to see gaps in resumes. And I talked to, when I coach women, I said, okay, if you're not professionally employed, what are some of the things you can do to avoid those gaps in your resume, gaps in employment? So my challenge, and again, I try not to let challenges keep me down, but the most difficult aspects was always to get back into the world, to get back into corporate, because I never saw myself as a housewife. I know you tell me I'm a good cook, but I've never seen myself as a housewife. And I refused to become that. So I've never stopped working. I've always been, and like I say, I've been very versatile in the roles, but my versatility has led to a lot of my strengths, because I don't think there's anything I can't converse on. When I meet with clients, I could talk about anything, because I've occupied as many roles as you could think about in an organization. So that has actually been a plus for me. The different roles I've taken and how I've watched my career moved. Now that I'm at a unique, and I was telling you this the other night when we were talking, I've never been happy with myself. I'm at a place where I feel as though this is where I want to be. This is who I am. My true sense of identity is where I am now, what I'm doing. I'm impacting so many lives. I do have a job at the University of Houston here. I work with a fantastic team. I have my consultancy, Cardinal services, and I focus on things that matter to me, because this is my baby, and I do things that are important to me, and I add meaning to the things that I bring to the table. So, I do things, when I talk about Cardinal services, we do a lot of strategic planning, coaching, mentoring, advisory. I do marketing consulting, training and development, business remodeling, diversity planning, cultural restructuring. And funny enough, a lot of organizations are relooking their organization culture and asking me to help them redesign it. Leading through change is a key thing right now, because we're all facing change dynamics. Another thing that I'm spending a lot of time with is entrepreneurial leadership. So a lot of small businesses in America pretty much started up. They got the ball rolling. They're clocking in their revenues, but they've never given themselves an opportunity to look beyond what they are now. So with COVID, they pretty much had to close down or reduce their scale of operations. And I'm working with them to look at how we can remodel what you've got. How can we take what you've got and redesign it so that you can still capitalize on the opportunity? So it's a lot of entrepreneurial leadership development, a lot of coaching, a lot of redesigning their business structures. And I think one of the things I want to talk a little bit about is my new baby, my partnership in health blockchain security services. So what are we? So health blockchain, everything is blockchain, right? Right now, the whole connected network. So when health blockchain security services came into being, there was one goal in mind. It was to look after the health of the blockchain network. Everybody was so invested in building the blockchain. And yes, they were built on, the foundations of decentralization, transparency, and immutability. But within that immutability space, there were threats that existed in there. And health blockchain security services has actually designed an app, and this app focuses on those threats to your system. So it mitigates it, and it's also built on predictive data modeling. Now I had to relearn. I mean, Daniel, who's the CEO, he's fantastic. I mean, he this guy sleeps and breathes blockchain. So we've had amazing powwow sessions, him bringing me up to scratch on it. But it's been a growing, when you get into the mindset of blockchain, it is fascinating. So I am also quite consumed with long hours and long training nights and upskilling myself across the blockchain network. Now that I'm a partner in this business, I need to understand, how impactful it is and what are the opportunities. And it's a fantastic opportunity in the space we're playing in. So I just thought I'd probably mention that along the way as one of the other things I'm involved in right now.
Yeah, and you started the Cardinal Service LCC, and we have a little bit of what you do here, and I can see the passion, and that's why sometimes you just need to put yourself out there and start building something and pushing your passion, because nobody's gonna do it for you. And it's
Yeah.
important to understand that that's what's gonna make you happy. And instead of staying scared and not, trying to go to the next level of your greatness and missing out in a way. So, the challenges are always there, but at least you know that you're doing something that you love, and it gives
It
you
is
strength.
meaningful. Yeah.
Exactly. That's it. So, and now let's have another, the last break, and we will come and conclude on the show. Understand, the legacy that you want to leave. So don't go anywhere. Short video, and we'll be back. With Sabeeta, understand, the legacy that she wants to leave.
Thank you.
So have you ever, read a Bible story that stuck out to you that you could relate to, and you said, oh my gosh, I understand, that's my life? Have you ever read a character in the Bible that stuck out?
Introducing the visionaries and co-authors of this phenomenal project. Elder Tommy and Evangelist Rosalind Willis, Barbara Fields, Christine Green, Mirielle Tulakema, Brenda Flores Robles, Dr. Charmaine Powell, Lakeisha Port, Terrence Lee, Minister Sean Saxton, Elder Tommy Willis, Dr. India White, Evangelist Keisha Snowden, Leon Fields, Evangelist Rosalind Willis, Pastor Erica Fulton, Missionary Tanika Thomas, Dr. Leah Renning, Barbara Slater, Cherish Jackson,
Prophetess Jennifer Gibbons,
and Dr. Betty Speaks.
So we are back. We are back with Sabeeta, and we want to know, Sabeeta, what is the legacy that you want to leave?
So before I go into that, Maria, I just want to say I just saw that book you were advertising, Blueprints from Heaven. And, something I should have said is why Cardinal is important to me. Cardinal Services was formed after I lost my father. So I lost my father very suddenly. And I believe you've met my father, Muriel, when he came to Australia. We were extremely close. And, death is never something we can get accustomed to. But I was extremely lost. I think I was so lost after my father passed away that, I had no sense of direction. I'd never been more lost. We were buddies, man. And I remember sitting in a cafe in the Woodlands here in Texas, and there was this bird. It's red, but I'd never seen a cardinal before. And it kept bumping into the window right where I was sitting. And it must have knocked that window about 20 times. And I'm saying to myself, I feel like that bird. It keeps hitting its head on the window, and it just keeps coming back because it doesn't know where else to go. And while driving, I was thinking about that. And I looked up what a cardinal represents, and it had spiritual connections. And I'm like, oh, maybe that was a message from my father. It's time to stop being lost and start to find yourself, because you can do this. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I started Cardinal in memory of my father, who was a fantastic man. So, for me, Cardinal is important. I wanted to survive. I wanted to have a legacy. So when I
Mm-hmm.
think about legacies, the things that are important to me are, it's about supporting the people and causes that mean something to you. I don't
Mm-hmm.
do things just to have my hands involved in a number of things. I do things that are meaningful to me. I do things that align with my journey. I do things that add meaning to other people's lives. So I know that I'm touching a life no matter whatever I do in a positive manner. It's always about a positive outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing is knowing what's important in your life. We talked earlier about, losing your sense of direction. I think once
Mm-hmm.
you know what's important in your life, you can reflect. In everything I do, I want to help people understand the importance of reflection and knowing what is important in their life and their journey and achieving it. Um, I talked about giving back. So one of my legacies is I've been blessed. I'm going to touch wood. I've been really, really blessed. The journeys and the experiences I've had, I would have never imagined this ever happening to me. So I'm thankful every day to the higher power. And I know when you have a blessing, I know it's important to pass this on to others. So part of my legacy is the ability to share my blessing with others. Another thing I do is I try to mentor as many people as possible. I meet with the boys on our athletics team at the university, and I'm the mummy that gives them the speech about how important academic balance is to apart from your sports scholarship. And I'm always preaching to them about it. So being a mentor is important. And I think my final thing I can say is pursue your passions, because if you pursue your passion, it becomes infectious. I have
Mm-hmm.
seen how infectious it has been when I found my calling, when I
Mm-hmm.
found my purpose, when I found the way I wanted to go and who I wanted to be and who I wanted to help. It became so infectious, Marie. So pursuing
Mm-hmm.
your passion is really important. So those are the things that are important to me.
Okay, all right. So really, really, it's powerful, especially the pursue your passion. It will become infectious, and I love it. I really love it because sometimes, it's about starting, and we already have the blockage at the starting point. And if we know that, by starting and by pursuing our passion, we're gonna infect people, and it's gonna be a ripple effect, then we have the confidence to still, pushing and and try to impact as many people as possible, because that's what it's all about. Like you said, when you have a gift, it doesn't have to stop with you. You have to share it. You have to share. You have to give back, because otherwise, this gift is dying. This gift is gonna get the die, and you're gonna stay at the same place, because you often need to keep moving. And we've talked about it at the beginning, is that you have to keep moving. The dynamics change, but you have to keep moving, and understand that you can still go, have make another step and another step, and get to grow as much as you can. So
Absolutely.
it has been a very powerful conversation. I thank you for your input. I thank you for your wisdom. And I thank you for all the knowledge that you've shared today, because I think it's been really, rich in term of, the option and strategies that, women have to look at if they really want to empower themselves and go to the next level of their greatness, because that's what this show is all about, really sharing this knowledge, sharing those strategies that, people who are listening, and in this case, mostly women, to go to the next level of their greatness and not get stuck into their comfort zone and regret, in a way, staying static and staying at the same level. So that's really, that's really good. I've enjoyed the conversation, and I think Chicas has enjoyed the conversation as well. Thanks, Sabeeta. I couldn't write, just wanted to pay full attention. So that's good. And please share, for anybody who have tuned in, don't keep the knowledge for you, share it and make sure, like Sabeeta was saying, it becomes infectious. So that's all for today. Like I said, it has been amazing, and I thank you so much, Sabeeta, for bringing all of this to the platform, and understand what help us to go to the next level of our greatness and leave nothing on the table of life, because
Absolutely.
to keep going. And Terence, again, thank you, Terence, for being here. Thank ladies, great conversation. Continue to collaborate in a spirit of diversity. That's what it's all about. Diversity is step, and collaboration is the new currency. So thank you for being, for participating, and for sharing your insight. And really, I wish you all the best. I know you're doing a lot. You've been starting a lot of projects, and knowing you, it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be explosive, because it's been 13 years of you, and I know, I know what it is all about. So
we say go big or go home, right?
Exactly. So that's good. So have a great day.
Thank you,
And
Maria.
we'll catch up anyway.
We
Later.
will. Thank you for having me, and keep doing the great work, Maria. And thank you for everyone who listened. And I hope we can add meaning to whatever you do. Maria, again, always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure as well.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.